businesses are bracing for the arrival of the new Trump administration and the president-elect's promise to introduce tariffs on global goods. This is just one of many geopolitical risks that Australian companies will need to be prepared for this year. I caught up with KPMG Geopolitics partner Merriden Varrall a little earlier.
Last year, 2024, from a geopolitics point of view, was a continuation of the trends and the themes that we've been seeing growing over the past 5, maybe 10 years or so. So we did see a lot of disruption, we did see a lot of change, but it's part of these broader patterns of fragmentation and disintegration of the global system as we know it that have been in train for a while now.
Yeah, fragmentation, protectionist policies from countries, they're becoming more divided. Are you expecting to see that accelerate this year? Do you believe the level of uncertainty is just going to continue to get more and more severe?
Absolutely. I mean, we're seeing increased social polarisation, increased disintegration and disruption from climate change. We're seeing competition, mistrust, that's all increasing. We saw, last year it was a big election year and it was no good for incumbents. It was no good for the centre of politics. So all of those kinds of trends are going to continue this year, absolutely.
I guess, though, with uncertainty, there comes opportunity for companies that are prepared for that uncertainty. So, what are some of the ways Aussie businesses can potentially benefit this year and be prepared for that uncertainty?
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point because we talk a lot about geopolitical volatility, we talk about the disruption, but as with all situations in which there's change, there are upsides to it, there are positives to it, but it really requires a lot of preparation, a lot of forethought, a lot of planning to make sure that we can be in a position to take advantage of or to take the benefits of those positives. And I think there are a few key areas that we can think about here. One is in critical minerals, one perhaps is in cybersecurity. We can think about Australia positioning itself as a trusted actor in both of those areas. EVs is something that is already benefiting the Australian consumer as cheaper EVs come into the Australian market because of geopolitical concerns from other countries. So there's lots of ways in which Australia and Australian businesses can find positives, but it's really crucial. It won't just happen. It's really crucial that we're prepared, that we're organised, and that we know what to do in order to take advantage of those things in a sustainable and long-term way.
Well, you just said change. Obviously, the change in government in America is probably front of mind for many Australian businesses and just everyday Australians. I mean, how do companies start preparing for potential changes that might arise under the Trump administration? The big one, obviously, for us is potential tariffs on the price of Australian goods.
So we know that President-elect Trump is coming into office later this month, and we know what he said that he intends to do. But although we can probably presume that it will be an America First approach, we don't exactly know how he's going to play out the policies or the moves that he's talked about doing. We don't know for sure how that's going to play. We do know that he has, in the past, been fairly pro-tariffs. And again, this is a geopolitical move in the way that trade is being weaponised and being used around the world, including in the US, as a tool of political power. So we know that President-elect Trump is pretty into tariffs. But what we know also is that Australia and America's relationship, economic and trade relationship, is not the kind where we are first in line to be the receiving end of those tariffs, because we are not in surplus to the American economy. So there's nothing there that would, as far as we understand it, would pique President-elect Trump's concern when it comes to Australian trade to the US.
Yeah, I think last time there was a big announcement of tariffs on goods, and then Australian steel producers, for example, were exempt from those tariffs. And a couple of big Aussie businesses have set up now in America operating in the States. Is that kind of another way to circumvent tariffs as well?
Absolutely, and there's opportunities through the US's IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, for Australian businesses to be investing, to be working in the US and to take advantage of some of those policies.
Cybersecurity, you mentioned before, obviously a big concern for business, government and individuals. The upcoming federal election in Australia could also be subject to attack from foreign actors, maybe looking to mislead Aussies when they vote on polling day. But What's the big opportunity for us here with cybersecurity? How do we stack up on the cybersecurity front?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So in KPMG's recent CEO survey of what is keeping CEOs up at night, cybersecurity came in at number 2. So it's a huge concern. The Australian government is highly alert to this, and in its 2023 cyber security strategy, it's announced that it's going to put $600 million into making Australia a world leader in cybersecurity, and that's due to be spent by 2030. So, exactly as you said, we have this global environment of increasing volatility, increasing competition, and nation-state and also non-state actors are looking for ways to disrupt those that they see as their competitors or those that they see as their adversaries. And cyber is one key and critical way in which they can do that. And we saw that happen in the US elections. We saw that happen in other elections around the world, where actors are deliberately trying to come in using cyber and social media to try and create mistruths, to misrepresent, to create tension, to sow discord, to create polarisation and division. And we are likely to see that in Australia in the upcoming elections as well. So we have to be absolutely alert to that. But with the government's cybersecurity strategy, what we're trying to make sure that we do, the first shield of that is about business capability and business resilience. And when we build our own capability and our own resilience in cyber, we become world leaders in that regard. We also have a huge opportunity to extend that capability and to share that knowledge around the world, because Australia is in a really positive position as a trusted partner and a trusted player in institutions like AUKUS, in the Quad, in the Five Eyes information sharing network, in the Pacific region as well. We have the opportunity to take this investment in cybersecurity and cyber understanding, cyber safety, and share that knowledge and be a world leader and be able to use this as an opportunity for Australian businesses to lead in resilience in cyber around the world.
Merriden Varrall, Geopolitics partner at KPMG. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.